Today is Friday, September 26, 2014, the 269th day of the year. There are 96 days remaining until the end of 2014. On this day in 46 BC, Julius Caesar dedicates a temple to his mythical ancestor, Venus Genetrix, in accordance with a vow he made at the Battle of Pharsalus. 3 years earlier, in 49 BC, the Caesar, Gaius Julius, finding himself challenged at the center of his empire by factions of his own Senate and facing civil war with the army of the Republic raised by his powerful rival Pompey the Great, marches his own army into Rome and forces most of the Senate and Pompey to withdraw to Greece. The Caesar, the underdog. In Greece, Pompey has the greater army and a fleet of 600 ships that enables him to project his military might anywhere in the known world in short order. The following year, on August 9, 48 BC, Caesar, in pursuit, is camped across the river. He's, of course, descended, from the gods, specifically the goddess of love and fertility, Venus Genetrix, born of sea foam, mother of Aeneas, who survives the fall of Troy circa 1260 BCE, and moves with the wife and kids to start over again in Italy, where he finds work as a shepherd and works his way up to founder of the Roman Empire. Caesar prays to his ancestor, Venus, on the banks of the river as he awaits the start of the Battle of Pharsalus. He vows to build a temple to her glory if he's successful in Greece. Ancient Romans worshipped any number of gods and goddesses, including numerous variations of Venus, a sewer goddess, a toilet god, a god of excrement. No, really, honest. The Roman sewer goddess, Venus Cloacina, is worshipped as the protectress of the Cloaca Maxima, the main Roman sewer. She keeps things flowing. The harvest is ripe, and Pompey's strategy is to wait until Caesar's overmatched army, about 2,200 in number, is hungry and weak. Pompey's army numbers twice as much as Caesar. The senators in Pompey's camp urge the general to attack. Defeat humiliating, not so great anymore. Pompey flees for his life, leaving his legions in disgrace, disguised as an ordinary citizen. Within a month, he's dead, assassinated by his own guys as he tries to take refuge in Egypt. As you know, it doesn't end well for Caesar either, just a couple of years later. But after the Battle of Pharsalus, he's on top of the world. He can return to Rome in triumph. High times for the Caesar. On this day in 1933, bootlegger, bank robber, and kidnapper Machine Gun Kelly gives himself up to the FBI. George Francis Barnes Jr. is 33 years old that year, living in Memphis, Tennessee, on this day in 1933 with his ambitious wife, Catherine Kelly. He's a small-timer, a thief, and a bootlegger born in Chicago when, in 1928, he's arrested in Tulsa for smuggling liquor into the Osage Reservation, convicted and sentenced to 3 years at Leavenworth, where he goes along and gets along. When he gets out early for good behavior, he meets the woman, then called Catherine Thorne, who sees potential in young Barnes. Well, not really so young no more, but she sees something in him that nobody else does, not even him. They marry. As her wedding present to him, she buys his first Thompson submachine gun and teaches him some valuable attitudes. She gives him the fearsome street name Machine Gun Kelly because, he's Irish. And she makes sure the newspapers identify him that way in stories they run about his crimes. To reporters she communicates with, she emphasizes his toughness, his brutality, his ruthlessness as a bad guy. She's the brains of the operation and gets Kelly into bank robbing because obviously that's where the money is. According to noted criminal historian Daniel Korchmar and other sources, it's Catherine Kelly who suggests kidnapping Texas oil man Charles Urschel and holding him for ransom. Barnes, brandishing his signature Thompson gun together with a hapless colleague, Albert L. Bates, interrupt a bridge game in Oklahoma City and abduct Urschel and another man, Walter Jarrett. Barnes and Bates take the two men to a farmhouse in Paradise, Texas, where after a week they collect $200,000 in Depression-era American money and get away clean. But Urschel, who has an unusually keen auditory sense and encyclopedic memory, reconstructs for FBI agents every step of the way, from Oklahoma City to Paradise. Every sound he hears along the way, every piece of dialogue. On this day in 1933, the FBI closes in on the Kellys in Memphis at 1408 Rayner Street, surrounding the house. Unfortunately, the Thompson gun isn't handy. Kelly shouts, "Don't shoot, G-men, don't shoot." His instincts are correct. He wants to live, which he does for the next 21 years in Leavenworth, for 17 years at Alcatraz, making his career in prison industries, turns out a lot of license plates, and back to Leavenworth, a model prisoner with plenty of stories about the old days. George Barnes dies July 18, 1954, his birthday, of a heart attack. He's buried at Cottondale Cemetery in Paradise, Texas, northwest of Fort Worth, under a small stone marked George B. Kelly. 1954. On this day in 2008, Swiss pilot and inventor Yves Rossi becomes the first person to fly a jet engine power wing across the English Channel. Rossi is a former jet fighter pilot in the Swiss Air Force, now a commercial airline pilot who develops and builds a kerosene-fueled jet pack with foldable carbon fiber wings using modified model aircraft turbines. Since 2008, Rossi has flown over the Alps mountains above the Grand Canyon of the Colorado River in formation with jet fighter aircraft, for which the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration has classified his jet pack as an aircraft requiring licensure. In November 2014, around Mount Fuji in Japan. On this day in 2008, Rossi, 49, known as the Fusionman, flew 22 miles from a beach near Calais to a field not far from the White Cliffs of Dover across the English Channel, having been ferried to a height of 8,000 feet by a Pilatus PC-6 turboprop aircraft, from which he drops, firing the jetpack, reaching airspeed of 190 miles per hour. Rossi completes the flight across the channel in 9 minutes, 32 seconds. Alan Watts writes, "I've realized that the past and future are real illusions, that they exist in the present, which is what there is and all there is." From Rutland, Vermont, this is Richard Alcott speaking.